A lot of people said it couldn't be done, and they were almost right. It was hard. I was actually really pretty convinced that I wanted to be an engineer and an electrical engineer from an early age. My uncle in 1961, he wanted to retire, so he offered to my father the opportunity to buy his share of the Springdale News out. So we packed up and moved from Seattle-Tacoma area to Springdale, Arkansas. After graduation, I went to registered and got accepted in the engineering program and proceeded to figure out that unlike high school, I was probably going to have to work a little harder than, in addition, I was living at home and working in my dad's print shop, so I was a pretty busy guy. And I think one of the things that I got out of that was the introduction to the work ethic. I met my wife in a freshman honors chemistry class. She's not kind of like this. We go into the lab and everybody's got to pick a table, and I was there with my good friend Jim Wilson, who's also an engineering grad, and these two girls showed up at the table and didn't have their lab work done. And so they want to know, well, what do we need to do this experiment? Where do I go? Where do I get it? And so on. Ultimately, that was my wife, and it was a good time in my life. I don't regret a minute of it. But the reason I think I was successful in engineering school is I put in the time. And probably the most interesting and career influencing thing was that my first job out of grad school, I was working for the Defense Communications Agency in Stuttgart, Germany, and we had a special classified meeting with a gentleman from the National Security Agency who came over and said, you guys, you need to know that in between 10 days and 2 weeks from today, there'll be a war in the Middle East, and we want you to be quite certain that these communication links that pass data back to the National Command Center are functioning. This is well before the internet, so I'm reading the newspaper to see what's going on. There's no indication of it, but all of a sudden, the world changed, and it was predicted and accurate. From that day on, I was interested in being part of that. You know, my initial company developed what they refer to as a software-defined approach to these signal-specific demodulation characteristics, because you take off today and you get out there to listen to an enemy, and he's got a new piece of kit. Turns out he bought it in France, and you need to adapt to that like the next day. We were the pioneer in being able to do that. A lot of people said it couldn't be done, and they were almost right. It was hard. You know, people say that if you love what you do, then you never really have to work a day in your life. And I'm very, very lucky in that soon to be 78 years old, I don't really have to work any longer. But I do it because a couple of things. I like working with smart people. I've got a nice crew of really good engineers that have worked for me for years, and I really enjoy solving the problems in the signal intelligence world.